we got different opinions here, and that's what we're doing. And so, but what Augustus is saying is it was more of a logical thing with you, right? Was anybody like mean to you? Did you have any bad experiences or anything like that?
I don't think so. Not really. It wasn't really that. I just kind of bring myself to believe it.
What would make you believe you think? What would it take?
Well, if I saw Jesus here standing in front of me,
okay,
and I wasn't on any medication, there was one other person right here
right.
that was with me, that was in the same state as I was. We both looked at Jesus and we talked to him, and you could tell those from a spiritual perspective. That's the only way I believe.
All right, we're going to end it this way. What do you think Christians can do to bridge that gap to folks like yourself?
Well, I don't think they can really, because I don't see any way to believe it. I think this goes for everyone. Just it's a universal concept. Just be a good person, regardless of what you are.
Just be a good guy.
Yeah, just be a good person.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks for your time.
No problem.
Thank you. First of all, you're an atheist, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. So you don't believe there's an all-powerful deity, right?
I would characterize the atheist position as the stipulation that there's no positive evidence for the universe having been created.
Right. No empirically positive evidence to prove that.
That's right.
Okay. So what are your thoughts about Jesus? When Jesus claims in the Bible, in the book of John, that I'm God in the flesh, I died on the cross for your sin, and I'm the only way to heaven. What are your views on that?
Well, I don't accept the premise that it's likely that there's a heaven exists. But in regards to Christ, it's hard to criticize the Beatitudes of Jesus. It's hard to come up with something that's critical or derogatory in regards to something like the Sermon on the Mount. What's always struck me as interesting in regards to Jesus being the way to heaven is individuals, say, who died prior to Christ's life. Or say tragically infants who die, or infants who are born dead, stillbirth, things to that effect, or folks who live an entire life in perhaps a remote part of the world and don't hear about Christ.
If you would share with us, Dylan, your views on maybe how religion in general has affected the world in a negative way.
I think it begins with the idea that faith in and of itself is a virtue, or that faith is a value. And so what you have is individuals who, maybe especially today it's most prominent in the Middle East, of course, with radical and fundamentalist Islam. 100 years ago, the best example would have been Catholics and Protestants in Ireland. But like I said, I think it begins with faith, with making claims without evidence.
What would be your answer, you think, if you could wave a magic wand over the world? How would you reconcile the differences of faiths? Would you just say that everybody just needs to believe what they believe and not try to impose it on anybody, and there's no true belief? How would you do that?
I would love to see less promulgation among the religious people. And of course, religions sort of take their turn at that. Islam is a particularly promulgating religion today. Most Christians like you guys are perfectly normal. You're happy to talk to people about your religion, but you're not pressing it on folks. In many parts of the world, I go back to the Middle East, to leave the Muslim faith, for example, apostasy, that's punishable by death in many parts of the world.
Not good.
No.
What would convince you to believe that what we call a theistic God, what would convince you that he exists? What would have to happen?
Well, I suppose if I died and found myself in a hot place.
I'm talking, not that.
No, I understand.
Today,
I'm sorry, that was my attempt at levity. Gosh, I don't
if he appeared in your bedroom, or because then you could say I ate some bad pizza and had a nightmare. Some people would say that really wasn't him. That was a what?
Well, that's right.
A lot of people. I think this is a question that a lot of people think about. What would, because you're a smart guy, what would convince you by reason, rationality, that he was real? What could happen? Would it be a good argument, or would it have to be a manifestation of him?
I don't think you could produce a line of reasoning simply with argument to empirically demonstrate that the universe was created. And if you did establish that it was created, you'd still have a long way to go to get from there to a particular type of God.
Personal God.
So if you establish a God, how are you going to get there to Allah or the Christian God, Jehovah?
But if he appeared to you, would that make a difference?
If he appeared to me, and it was in my favor, I think I...
What do you mean by in your favor?
Well, if he appeared to me and brought to me good fortune or good news or something to that effect, I would be skeptical of it. I know our minds are susceptible to hallucination.
Well, hey everybody, again, we're here at the University of Alabama, and I'm with Theo. He's a smart guy. He's a master degree student, going to teach maybe literature, and so he's going to be a great teacher one day, okay? What we're doing, you know, Theo, Easter is Sunday. So what we're doing is trying to get the religious opinion of our culture. You know, the Bible says that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to God but beside him. Do you believe that that's true, or are there other ways to get to heaven besides Jesus?
Well, that's an awesome question. I believe that there are a lot of ways to get to Chicago. But there's only one way. There's only one Lord, one faith, one baptism. There's only one way to get to God, our Father, and that's through Jesus Christ. No other way. He's not the author of confusion. I personally don't believe he would do all of that. I mean, come down here and die, wrap himself in flesh, become what we are so we can be like him, just so all of us can fight each other religiously to get in. It's not that crazy. It's him. It's Jesus the whole way.
You know, I was mistaken, folks. He's not going to be a great teacher. He's going to be a great evangelist.
Well, what did you think? Well, for me, it's been about a week. So I've had a whole week to think about what happened at UAB, and at first I sat down and watched it with my wife and kids, and it was, you know, kind of interesting. And then as the week went on, I thought about it, and then it kind of got depressed. And then there was a sense of urgency that just came over me, and that's the whole reason I wanted to start this ministry, an urgency, because see, these students are our future congressmen, mayors, Sunday school teachers, pastors, influencers in our society. And as you can see, some of them are really mixed up at what they believe and mixed up what the truth is. You know, I heard something this week I thought was real interesting. Is 80% of people have regrets in life. And the psychologists say this: 80% of the regrets that they have are not things that they did wrong in high school or things that they did bad conduct in college. 80% of the regrets they had were things that they didn't do. They didn't step out in faith. They didn't take risks, and therefore they're looking back on their life and they regret a lot of things they didn't do just out of sheer safety and fear. To illustrate this, Abraham Lincoln walked to church one night, to a Presbyterian church just beyond the White House, and they said he sat on beside a room just outside the chapel there. And as they were walking home, one of the aides asked Abraham Lincoln, he said, "Well, Mr. President, did you like the sermon?" Mr. President said, "Well, he was a good speaker." They said, "Well, did you like the sermon?" He said, "Well, he seemed well prepared." He said, "Well, you liked it." He said, "I didn't say that." He said, "Well, you didn't like it." He said, "No, I didn't like it." He said, "Well, why did you not like it, Mr. President?" He said, "The pastor didn't challenge me to do anything great." And that's what I want to do right now with this ministry is first challenge you to be a great dad, be a great mom, be a great employer or employee. Hey, be a great church. Just don't be a good church. Support your pastor and be a great church. And that's what I want this ministry to be, is to be great. I want the church I pastor to be great, but I want this to make a difference here in Birmingham, all over the Southeast, and eventually all over the United States. So if you would like more information about this ministry and just what we're doing, you can go to faithmakingsense.org, or you can just call me. I would love to come out and meet with you and just sit down and let's just talk about, hey, the future of your church, this ministry, and how we can partner together to make a difference of what we just saw on that video. Remember, hey, let's don't be good, let's don't be average, let's be great. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and you have a blessed day. Thank you.